Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I'm reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading Satellite Office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Monday, November the 12th, 2012, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary. I want to first start off by taking a look to see how the indices closed today. The Dow Jones closed down 0.23, the Nasdaq closed down 0.61, and the S&P 500 closed up 0.18. We take a look at the breadth here. We had 3,312 issues declining. We had 2,789 issues as advancing on the NYSE, NASDAQ, and AMEX. So far today, guys, pretty much a pause day. The market sold off a little bit on the open. Got a nice little bounce coming around 12:30, and then they sold off again, right there, like around 1:30 into the close, which causes us to have a nice little flat day across the board in most of the indices, and a little flat action in a couple of stocks, most of the stocks across the board. You had your little movers and shakers here and there, but aside from that, today was pretty much a slow day. Tomorrow we should see a little more pickup in action. Then Wednesday, as we have this economic news coming out, we should have some more pickup in the volume as well. I believe tomorrow up on the plate we have NFIB Small Business Optimism Index at 7:30, Goldman Store Sales at 7:45, Red Book at 8:55, Treasury Budget at 2 o'clock. So not really much tomorrow, but Wednesday. All right, where we have the Producer Price Index of retail sales, business inventories, FOMC minutes. Wednesday should really be the day where we get some nice action. So tomorrow could be another slow day. We'll have to wait and see. In any case, I want to take a look at the SPY daily chart. The SPY was up 10 cents today, a little over 10 cents or so, 10 and a half cents, up 0.08%. You see here we broke down out of that key channel line that we were watching last week that was acting as support. It was acting as support right there. They bounced it right up the upper channel line, and now the longer we continue to hold below this key trend line, right, the more we should start to see some type of consolidation for a move lower. To get bullish on this market, we really need to get back above, or to get bullish, or to have more conviction, I should say, that we're going to try to get a meaningful bounce down here. We would really need to get back above 139.52, which comes from this little gap fill area, which I have right here. This little shaded area, this little kind of little gap zone that we have right here. All right, you can see how that 137.60 level is acting relevant. We got a bounce on there on Friday. All right, and that bounce comes from the little high, that little doji looking candlestick you see right there in the middle of your screen. That comes from the high that we made that day. And you can see the next level of support really is until the closing price of that day, which is around 136.64. So we got some good key levels to work off of here, guys. If you guys want to write these levels down, 137.60, which was the support that held on Friday. Then 136.64, then 135.58, then 134.25. Those lower levels come all from these little key inflection points from this candlestick that we had before we got that crazy gap up the next day. I forgot what news that was that we gapped up that day. I believe it was from the unemployment numbers, employment numbers, where they that was from the employment numbers, and I'm not sure which one those were. I'm not sure if that's where they bluffed it up or not. But either way, that's an important day. Some key levels to work off that day. Then you can see the low of that day is that going to be a relevant level as well. And then the closing price, or I should say the opening price of this day, when we gapped up, is going to be a relevant level as well. So those are those lower levels that I just explained and showed to you guys right there. As far as some resistance levels to watch, you want to be watching this 138.67 area, which we got rejected off today. This little gap kind of area right here around the 138.67 to 139.52. And then if we could maybe get back towards this 140, that would be an area to watch as well. As I think we could, if they run and rally the market, we probably could get a back test up there towards that level to kind of recheck that area. We'll have to wait and see. If you take a look at the 50-minute chart action today on the market, though, you can see really not much going on. All right, I kept on stressing that the whole day. Yeah, you had your movers and shakers here, but I mean, volume was light. A lot of stocks were doing fake outs, and it was just a really day just to sit on the sidelines and see what stocks were holding up, so you can know what stocks to trade tomorrow for relative strength. Now you can see here the day today on the SPY just sideways, and you can see here as well that little yellow shaded area that we were watching on the daily chart is acting as resistance so far as we try to get above it and we got rejected. So something to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at the Qs real quick. Triple Qs. See how the triple Qs are setting up here. Triple Qs, those have some support around the 63 level. We break below 63, then you're looking at 62. Still remains in a downtrend. And part of the reason is thanks to Apple. I mean, Apple obviously is heavily weighted in the Qs, and this thing's not getting a bounce at all quite yet. Try to get bounced on Friday, pulled back today, okay, after gapping up, and now it's just chopping around over here. I think it chops around some more. Again, if we don't get back over this key trend line that I have, that I explained in my previous videos, and one I believe in the weekly video or the video before that, if we don't get back above 560, we can continue to see this stock consolidate a little bit and then make a move lower. All right, just keep that in mind. But we do have some support on the 530 area. So maybe at least carve a little bottom down here in this area, then maybe try to get a meaningful little balance up there. All right, but aside from that, you can clearly see that it's still in a strong downtrend from the little topping pattern that it formed right here, the little head and shoulders pattern that kind of marked the death of Apple, at least for the short term. Okay, we'll have to see how it acts, if it can catch a bounce or not. But anyways, so back to the Qs. The Qs are holding this little 63 level of support. If we can get back above, I would say 64.50 or so, we can maybe catch some traction. But again, we have a lot of resistance above us, and the least path of resistance is to the downside. Hence, I think we're still, now that we're below this moving average, I think we're in an environment where you have to short the rallies. So just keep that in mind. The buy the dip action is not happening a lot, and if it does happen, you really have to take your profits quick, because it usually comes back down to your buy the dip entry on some of these intraday trades that we find here in the chat room. And again, if you have not been to our website, the website is wallstreettrading.com. And if you want to get access to our free trading room for our 14-day free trial, you want to make sure you fill out the form on the right-hand side of the wallstreettrading.com homepage on the upper right-hand side. Now let's take a look at the IWM. The IWM was down 23 cents today, pretty much a flat day. We still are hovering around this little bottom lower channel down here. All right, and if we can, I would say if we can hold above 79.68 or so and just kind of base out around here, we could get another nice little bounce, maybe back up towards the 61 area to kind of reach, to kind of try and kind of re-back test this little area right here, recheck this area around this 81 level. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But right now, IWM not doing much, and I don't really see much going on across the board at all, which means a lot of people are probably just in wait and see mode. Again, we have FOMC minutes on Wednesday, so that would maybe bring some directional momentum either to the top side or to the downside, depending on what comes out of it. So we'll have to wait and see with that. And let's take a look at the volatility index, the VIX volatility index. VIX was down $1.93 today, down 10.37%. And, if we can get some more selling pressure in the VIX, we may come back and check this $15 area, which I believe may be a good opportunity to buy it back, as that is still an official back test of this little trend line that we broke. All right, we made that higher low, but if we come right back down and break that higher low, the next area to check is going to be around this little, to get an official back test of that key trend line from the breakout. And then if we were to break back below 15, that would definitely mean that fear is out the market, and we should start trading right back down inside this channel, which then obviously the markets would be off to the races if that was to happen. Now, obviously, we can't get too much ahead of ourselves right now with that idea, but just something to keep in mind on the volatility index. We have some key levels to watch to use as a reference point going forward with the market. Let's take a look at the dollar futures. Now, the dollar futures are continue to rise. One thing that I see shaping up on the 60-minute chart of the dollar futures, all right, which I'm going to show you guys here shortly, is a nice little upward rising wedge on the 60-minute chart. Excuse me, on the 60-minute chart. You see I have some of my key channel analysis on here. And you can see right now the dollar is in a little upward rising channel, which comes from right here. All right, and at the same time, it's in this little consolidation pattern. So right here in this little range. You guys see that? How it's respecting this little range right here. So anyways, I'm going to be looking to see if the dollar tries to push up a little bit more and then maybe get some selling pressure. But when this thing does break out this wedge, if it breaks out this wedge accordingly to what the pattern should do, we'll be looking to pick up some of these stocks, some of these commodity stocks that are going to be pulling back if it continues to rise higher. As if the dollar continues to rise higher, the market should pull back a little bit. Another key thing that I want to show you guys is the euro. All right, you guys know I've been on top of this euro dollar here, tracking it, and right now you can see we're back at the bottom of that key trend line from that channel. And if we don't get a bounce right here and we continue to hold below 1.27, we could trade all the way down to 1.26 And then this is going to be a very important area that we'll be watching if we do not hold 1.26. At the same time, if the market shows signs of strength tomorrow early morning, we're going to be watching the euro as well to see if it tries to get a relevant bounce off that key trend line from this little downward channel. Obviously, you guys see up here, this was a nice little bull trap that took place. All right, and that was a little shakeout right there. Okay, so that's how the euro's looking. GLD, USO, nothing much out of those commodities. GLD pulled back a little bit. Let me put the moving averages back here on the chart. GLD pulled back a little bit today after after gapping up and selling off. All right, needs to get back over this 50-day moving average around the 160, 169 area or so. Silver SLV was down 17 cents today. This one did nothing as well. Silver SLV really needs to get above 32 to get me a little bit more bullish on it. From all the people that are trying to buy the dip down here, which they could be right, but at the same time, they could get rejected right here from this prior consolidation. So an active resistance up here before we broke down. So it's I'm the type of guy I like to wait a little bit for more conviction, maybe like a nicer pattern set up around the 32 key level or something like that. So wait and see on the silver. Copper, JJC. Copper was a little positive day today in the copper. I like to look at the copper futures, which is /HG in this platform. Right, you can see copper futures a little balanced, but still looking pretty ugly because it cannot, it needs to get back above this $3.53 level here. All right, which should take it back above this sort of range. The longer it stays below this key level right here inside this range, the more I'm going to be expecting it to kind of drift down towards this 330 area, which takes it back down towards the bottom of the range right here. Let's take a look at the financials. The BKX index showed you guys some key channel analysis stuff with this as well. We're at an area where if the market does get some buying pressure, you could probably get a nice little bounce of the BKX and this little index. It's around this key trend line and around this key area. So we take a look at a couple of the banks here. Goldman Sachs was up $1.09 today from a gap up. Still looking pretty good. Has these 50-day moving averages right here. Has a lot of moving averages above it. But if it can battle through those moving averages, this will be a good stock to keep on your radar. Take a look at the 60-minute chart, and you can see today it was just kind of a little slightly sideways to higher a little bit there. Nothing crazy. What else here? Citigroup. Citigroup still holding its rising 50-day simple moving average. May try to fade down a bit, but I do believe you'll be able to get some type of scalping opportunity or long entry off that moving average if the markets at least kind of hold up a little bit here and these financials try to hang in there as they have been the strongest sector so far on the bounce. Let's take a look at some of the semiconductor stocks. SOX. Still looking kind of crappy down here. Broke this little downward channel, still fading off the breakout. But take a look at some of the key individual stocks. Intel still remains in a downtrend, strong downtrend here, ugly chart. Take a look at Qualcomm. Qualcomm still remains in a little ugly pattern right here. Nothing too crazy. Gapped up. Only reason why it's up here is because it gapped up from the earnings. You can see it really didn't have any traction. Couldn't hold its earnings gains. But so far, it's kind of holding that little gap up a little bit there. Until it really breaks below 60.66, this thing could just chop around sideways. And let me just take a quick look at SanDisk SNDK. This one looks like it's going to sell off. Keep this one on your radar to the short side, as it could sell all the way off down, all the way down there to 38. You can see it's a nice little strong downturn on the 60-minute chart. Okay, so that's about it. Don't want to make the video too long. We'll have some good ideas going forward for tomorrow morning. All right, make sure you're in the chat room around 8:15. We'll start going over the plays around 8:45 or so, and that's about it, guys. Some kind of some catches that we had today. The chat room, since I was not able to do a midday market update, was this GILD going into the last hour. We called it for a long down there. Let me see here. Take a look at the 50-minute chart. This was a trade that we did in the chat room actually. Take a look at the 50-minute chart of GILD. All right, why some guys in the chat room are like, hey, why are you buying it down there? I'm like, look, if you take a look at what it's been doing, let me put the pre-market information on here. All right, put the pre-market information on here. You can see pre-market, it had a lot of, buyers down there from the breakout of this 72.50 level. Okay, when it broke out this little range, that was a support area. So I was actually picking up some around 71.95. All right, because look at the amount of buying pressure that came in when it bounced off this area. Kind of a little bit to manage my risk down here. Say, okay, I'm buying versus this low. I'm hanging around. I'm buying kind of in this zone because I think it can get a nice bounce, and that's exactly what happened. Got a nice little bounce, traded all the way up to a high of 74. Nice alert. So we gave this one out in the chat room right here. Show you guys real quick. Gave this one out in the chat room as along around the 71.95 area. Watching this little zone right here. Now you had to at least risk 50 cents on the trade. The stock trade all the way down to 71.50, 71.59, but we were working off the 71.40 level. And next thing you know, this one just took off all the way up to a high from $72 all the way to a high of 74. So $2 gain in a matter of in a matter of 30 minutes. Now I was not able to catch this full move, but I was able to ride some up all the way up to like 73 up here, and I didn't hold until the breakout. But that's a nice move to begin with already, about $1 right there. So that's about it, guys. Hope you guys are having a great trading day. Had a great trading day, and I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Peace.